Welcome back to Morning Rush. Over the last year, wildfires accounted for more than $11 billion in damages across the United States. And climate change is having its impact here as well. According to the National Interagency Fire Center, there was a 223% increase in fires since 1983. But there may be a new tool to fight these devastating fires, a so-called hurricane on wheels. It's an airplane jet engine that blasts 250 mile-per-hour winds designed specifically to put out wildfires. Steve Wolf is the founder and the CEO of Team Wildfire, the company behind this new machine that it hopes will help minimize the loss suffered as a result of wildfires. Hey, thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Scott. Thanks so much for having me with you today.
Absolutely. Wanted to ask you, this sounds like a sci-fi plot here. How does this thing work?
Well, the way it works is essentially based on the idea that, firefighters think that fire responds to what they do. It responds to their hoses or their axes or their shovels. And really it doesn't. Fire responds to the weather and particularly to the wind. And in order to control the fire, you've got to own the wind. And so our idea was to use jet engines to basically make synthetic hurricanes that could be directed at fires and push those fires back away from the areas where we don't want them to go. So we have a vehicle that has a jet engine on it, and we're working on various sizes of this, from a small one that can get up a little trail to put out a single tree lightning fire, all the way up to a giant machine that's a logging skidder that uses 4 massive jet engines from Learjets to push back wide swaths of fire.
So right now, firefighters, they hand dig burn lines or use big trucks to kind of create those burn lines. Could this also be used to quickly move fire fuel out of the way so to help stop the fire from advancing?
Yes, the hand line is, of course, is dangerous work, and it's hard to do, and it's not very effective because you can only dig so wide an area. And with these mega fires, we're seeing so much ember cast that it just jumps these lines really quickly. The lines are not very effective. These, estimates of percentage contained are really just estimates, and they don't really guarantee containment because the wind can just jump that fire right over. And bulldozers, of course, can only push, 8 feet of dirt out at a time. With a jet engine, though, with, multiple 100-mile-an-hour per wind, you can clear land in large areas, very quickly of anything flammable. All the brush, the debris, the twigs, even trees that are on fire, those limbs can just be pushed away using massive winds. And those winds are infused with surfactants that act as retardants and suppression agents.
So before you started fighting fires, basically, you had a previous career in the movie industry, specifically working in stunts and pyrotechnics. How did you use that history of your career to kind of come up with this solution?
Yeah, I had been working, Scott, as a special effects coordinator on feature films. And one of the jobs special effects coordinators have is, of course, is an area called atmospherics, which is where we have to do things that the weather would normally do. And that might be falling leaves or gentle breezes or rain scenes, stuff like that. And, of course, hurricanes are one of them. And I was working on a movie called The Firm with Tom Cruise.
Love it.
And I had made a small leaf fire. And at the end of the scene, the director, Sidney Pollack, came over to me and he said, "Hey, great fire, Steve. You don't have to put it out, but it can't stay here." And, I thought he was just joking around, but I started thinking, maybe it could be relocated. And so in this case, I took a little leaf blower and I just pushed the fire about 20 feet out of the way so they could put the camera there and film. And then I wondered what would happen if we scaled that up. What would happen if we took a jet engine and we actually used that to push, burning wildfire matter back so that it didn't have access to fresh fuel. And as long as we could keep it back for a little while, it deprives the oxygen, deprives the fuel, and really stops a fire from being able to advance. And you could get effective containment.
Yeah, this is a brilliant idea. How many of these jet engines would it really take, though, to fight like a big fire, like the one that's raging right now near Larch Mountain out in Clark County, Oregon?
Yeah, you could fight that with, a series of vehicles all equipped with jet engines. This is the hurricane on wheels concept. And you could take, a dozen or 50 or 100 of them and surround a fire and push it back and really contain it very effectively, as well as shooting mists over the fire so that you can drop the embers to the ground and stop the ember cast and keep a local fire local.
Steve Wolf, this is a brilliant idea. Founder and CEO of Team Wildfire. We appreciate your help and everything you're doing to help fight the wildfire threat. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks so much, Scott.
All right.